Me and my wife are both 23. We have been dating since we were 15, and 4 years ago we got married, and our families were against us getting married so early on because we were too young to commit. But we got married, and they attended, but we could sense their discomfort. Now her family and mine, and we both get along with each other, and I felt like we all are getting along because we both are happy, and so were our families. 7 months ago, my wife had an accident. She broke both of her legs, and she had scars on her face, which got her depressed. And I tried my best to help her, to comfort her. And doctors are trying their best, and I am providing as much physical and emotional support as I can. But the truth is, she's paralyzed, possibly for life. She's not going to go back to the way she was. She knows, and so do I. But I am trying my best to help my wife. But 3 days ago, when my sister came to visit us, she got drunk and started making fun of our situation. She started blabbering and said it's karma for hurting everyone in our family. Thankfully, my wife wasn't around. She was sleeping. I asked her to get in the car, and I dropped her to her place next day. She says that she's sorry and didn't mean to hurt me, but I told her that what she said hurt me. I would have forgave her if she hit me. But you are making fun of what we are going through, and I cannot accept that, and I am never going to talk to her ever again. But my parents are saying that my sister was drunk and I should forgive her and forget it because she was drunk, but I feel like she was extremely disrespectful to us and our struggle and making fun of us. Top comments. Commenter, not the a-hole. But she was drunk is not an excuse. Go commit a crime, and when you're in front of the judge in court, tell them I shouldn't be punished because I was drunk, and see how far that gets you. Drunk people don't just make things up out of the blue. They say the things that they have been thinking all along, but when sober are smart enough to keep to themselves. Original poster replied, actually yes, that's what I am most concerned about. I am thinking, does my sister hate my wife so much that she's enjoying her suffering? Does she not realize that her brother is also suffering? Does she hate me as well? I love her, and I thought she loved me even though we had a rough time. But to say this all, I would have preferred if my sister berated, insulted, or slapped me instead of what she said. At least I could have forgiven her, but she crossed boundaries and I don't know how to forget her words, even if she was drunk. Commenter, your sister's comments were incredibly insensitive and hurtful, especially given the challenges you and your wife are facing. Being drunk doesn't excuse such behavior. It's understandable that you'd want to distance yourself from someone who disrespects your situation so blatantly. Your parents may want to keep the peace, but your feelings are valid, and it's important to prioritize your and your wife's well-being. Setting boundaries with your sister is a reasonable response to her actions. Update 2 days ago. My sister called me and said she wants to talk to me because she doesn't want to ruin our sibling relationship just because she was drunk and she regrets what she said and feels guilty. I told her I cannot have this conversation with her in my house because my wife would get hurt if she hears our conversation, and I asked her to meet me at a park near our house. When she arrived, she immediately hugged me and she said she's sorry for what she said, and she will make sure to never repeat the same mistake again, and won't ever say something like that, even if she was drunk, and she wanted me to leave my wife because she's disabled and spend my life with a partner who's not a burden to me. I politely told her that what she said was highly offensive and rude, and my wife is not a burden. If my wife was around, she would be so devastated. She's already suffering because her body changed drastically. And even if you hate my wife or anyone, you shouldn't be enjoying their misery or make fun of it. My sister said she is sorry and would do anything to go back to how things were. I told her that I can't forget about what she said so easily, and for now she should leave. My sister just asked me to promise her to not cut her off completely, which I agreed to. Now, I don't know if I should forgive my sister. I am obviously pissed, but I think maybe I should forgive her because she was drunk. If I ask my parents, they will obviously tell me to do so, as they've been trying to convince me to forgive her, and I definitely cannot talk to my wife about this, because it would hurt her, and she's going through a lot already. Relevant comments. Commenter, Kudos to original poster for standing up for their wife and not tolerating harmful behavior, especially from family. Forgiving someone doesn't mean forgetting what they did or making it okay, but it does allow for growth and healing. Stay strong and trust your gut. Original poster replied, I am definitely going to stand up for my wife, and will do so for as long as I am alive. I am her protector and her life partner. That's why she trusts me, and just because her body changed a bit, doesn't mean my love towards also changed so easily. I don't think I will ever be able to forget about what my sister said, though. I can forgive her, but I don't got a switch in my brain that can make me forget. For now, I am going low contact with her. Commenter 2. I learned something from Reddit. Drunk words are sober thoughts. Your sister obviously feels some kind of way about your wife. Whether due to her disability or that just being an excuse, she was wrong to behave the way she did. You're smart to take some time to decide what kind of relationship you want to have with your sister. It's good she understands what she did was wrong, but the fact is you can't unsay something. Original poster replied, I know my sister doesn't like my wife. My family was against our marriage, so it's not a surprise for me, but I never expected my sister to say something like that to her own brother's wife. I never expected she would say something so cruel and laugh at our misery. I am glad that at least my wife wasn't around and heard what my wife said, because she would be so sad and devastated. She's already going through so much and she's depressed. I am willing to maintain my relationship with my sister as long as she keeps her feelings to herself and never speaks like this in front of anyone, especially my wife. But if she ever tries to hurt my wife in any way, I will definitely cut her completely out of my life and forget that I ever had a sister. Maybe she's feeling guilty, or she might pull something like this, or worse again, but only time will tell. For now, I want to maintain my distance from her and focus on my wife and her body and her mental health. Commenter, I'm confused. Did she say she wanted you to leave your wife because she's a burden during the park visit? Or was that something she said while drunk before? If it's the former, what the hell? She essentially just doubled down on the sentiment, thinking she was making amends. Original poster replied, when my sister was drunk, she laughed and said our situation was karma for hurting everyone in our family. I immediately asked her to get in the car and dropped her off. During her recent visit, she said she wanted me to be with someone else instead of a burden. I know she and everyone else was against our marriage, and it is not a surprise to me that she doesn't like my wife, but still I choose my wife, and I will be in her life until the end. I am not completely sure if she just hates my wife for whatever reasons, or she has found another woman for me, or just wants to hurt my wife, which is basically hurting me. I am willing to still maintain my relation with my sister, even if it's just less contact, but if I sense that she wants to hurt my wife in any way, I will completely cut her out of my life. My wife and I am going through a very difficult situation already, and I don't want her to suffer any further. If my sister keeps her opinion to herself, then we can still maintain our sibling bond. If not, then oh well, I already choose my wife above everyone and all else. Commenter, no, she may have said that when she was drunk, but she doubled down by saying you should leave your wife for being a burden the next time you see her. I'm assuming she was sober? Your sister clearly feels this way. If you keep in contact, you run the risk of her saying this to your wife. Either way, you should tell your wife, maybe not what the comments were, but that they were enough to make you cut contact. For context, my girlfriend and I have been together for 6 years, and over Thanksgiving weekend, I took her on a week-long trip to Hawaii with the intention of proposing to her. I even asked her parents for their blessing and showed them the ring a couple days before we left for the trip. We have talked about marriage before, and we've both agreed that we want to marry each other, so the idea of it is nothing new and actually a frequent topic. The issue is that she wanted a grand wedding proposal similar to the ones you might see on TikTok, Instagram. Big, marry me letters on the beach, rose petals on the ground, lights, mariachi, etc. I was absolutely on board on doing that for her, if it made her happy, But that was something to be planned at a beach back at home, since I wouldn't have the resources to plan it for a trip to somewhere we've never been, especially because we booked everything as a last-minute vacation just 5 days prior. Ironically, after she sent me videos of people vacationing in Hawaii. I believed this would be a great opportunity, though. I planned to propose to her on the day we arrived. I carried the ring in my pocket all day, waiting for a good opportunity to ask her, knowing it wasn't going to be a grand proposal like she had hoped, but I thought because of the circumstances she would be happy. However, we had some completely unnecessary arguments, and I decided to postpone because I didn't want to do it after a bitter day. Second day there, we had booked a reservation to go parasailing. I didn't want to risk losing the ring, so I left it back at the hotel. We didn't get back to the hotel until 5 p.m., and we started getting ready to go back out in the city. By this time, it was already starting to get dark. She said before that she would want a sunset proposal, and knowing that I couldn't organize any of the other things she had in mind for a proposal, the sunset was the only thing I had. I missed my chance on that, but we still went out to dinner and drinks. We came back to the hotel afterwards because she was tired, I was too. It was an eventful day. I let her rest for a bit, and around 10:30, I convinced her to go on a night walk with me at the beach. This was when I planned to propose to her. We got to the beach, the city was very much still awake, and the lights of the buildings and streets combined with the bright moon illuminated the ocean beautifully. We stood there hugging and kissing, both knowing it was a beautiful and intimate moment. I started telling her how much I love her and how I want to be with her my entire life, etc. As I started to get on my knees and reach into my pocket for the ring, she stopped me. "I hope you're not about to propose to me right now. This isn't what I expected." My heart dropped. I got back up and stood speechless before starting to walk back to the hotel. I was in no mood to talk about the situation and told her we should talk about it tomorrow. We talked about it the next day, and she insisted on me doing it again, but this time, the right way, during sunset. I tell her I can't do that because she rejected me already. She tells me she didn't reject it, just simply it wasn't how she would have wanted it to happen. We spent the next 4 days in Hawaii in a very tense state, but we had to deal with it until we got back home. We lived together, and for the first night she went to sleep with her parents. Now she has come back, but I don't want to be home with her there. What can be the outcome of the situation? I obviously didn't want this to happen during our vacation, but I can't see it any other way. Is this a valid reason for me not wanting to be with her anymore? I also don't think it's right for me to redo the proposal. Relevant comments. Somebody said, "You dodged a bullet. Shouldn't be proposing at 21. At what beach was it?" Original poster replied, "Waikiki Beach. We stayed right in front." I figured a nighttime proposal wouldn't be bad, since she has also said she wouldn't want it to be too public. Another said, "She cares more about the proposal than actually being married to you. She is just not mature enough to make this kind of commitment." Somebody said, "Better now than later." But I must ask, were there any warning signs before? Because I have a feeling you may have overlooked character flaws, not the whole. Original poster replied, "There was definitely warning signs. I got her a designer bag one time for her birthday, $2,700 Louis Vuitton. And after that, she told me she wants a bag for her birthdays. 1 year's money was tight, so I got her a $550 Coach bag, which she later joked was cheap. She's worn the Louis Vuitton once." Original poster adds about the trip and proposal planning. "I'm not saying it's impossible to plan a proposal how she wanted it, but you have to understand that the vacation was a last-minute thing I booked just 5 days prior. It was Saturday when she had sent me a TikTok of someone going to Hawaii, and by Friday morning, we were on the plane over. I've been thinking about marriage, and I just took that as an opportunity to do it." Update. So we had another conversation about it once she came back home from her parents. She's still adamant that I failed to meet her expectations. Admittedly, I understand I didn't do any of the things she had visualized it to be. I want to emphasize that we're young, and the proposals she's seen on social media are nothing but trends. These proposals have become popular in maybe the last year or two, Prior to that, she's told that she wants an intimate proposal, and especially away from the public. People are telling me I'm wrong because I knew exactly what she wanted and didn't do it. She also tells me that a proposal is solely about the female and what she wants. I think that's bullshit. I know I've told her that I was on board with her fantasy proposal, yet I changed my mind about that. I didn't want to plan this huge thing at my hometown beach just for the spectacle of it. I preferred to do it in a way I knew we'd both enjoy. In Hawaii, especially. Something that really bugs me is she says that I made the trip seem like just another trip, nothing crazy or out of the ordinary. This is literally our first ever vacation flight together. The same night that happened, we had brunch, went parasailing, and had a wonderful teppanyaki dinner. Am I selfish for changing the whole proposal up without consulting her? I don't understand why some people say I'm selfish for not doing what she wanted. I still did something that objectively should make any woman ecstatic. I think my focus now is shifting from wondering if it's okay for me to break up with her for turning me down to wanting to break up for her ungratefulness in general. Another reason why she said it wasn't up to her expectations was because we were both dressed casually. She wanted me to give her prior notice that something special was going to happen by telling her to get glammed up. To the people asking why I couldn't propose the next day at sunset, another requirement for her proposal was for her dog to be there, which she told me that same minute after telling me it's not what she expected. She absolutely adores this dog and has always told me she wants him to be ring bearer at our wedding. Sure thing. If it makes her happy, I really don't mind. Issue is, she also wanted that to be the case for the proposal, which I was absolutely unaware of, and obviously we didn't take the dog with us. She was just too focused on how she wanted the proposal rather than just being excited about being with me. Relevant comments. 21. Been together for 6 years. So you started dating at 15. How long have y'all been living together? I'm not a fan of the idea of putting arbitrary timelines on things like relationships, but living together is definitely an important milestone. So is traveling, trips, vacations. Time together is almost irrelevant. You don't really know someone until you live with them, go through hardships with them, see how they are at low points and how they react when you are. Original poster replied, yes, we started dating at 15. Around 17, she had an accident at her house and it ended up burning down. Her parents couldn't find a place nearby, so they ended up moving away, and I told her she can stay with me until we finish high school. She stayed and lived with me at my parents' until about 6 months ago when we moved out on our own. Final update. We had the breakup talk. My girlfriend has always been a bit self-centered. I've known that and have been able to put up with it. About 4 months ago, she started having therapy sessions. I don't know how long they last, what days they are, or what they talk about. I do know that she has become an entirely different person. She's been more compassionate and cooperative with me, the things I've always wished for her to be more. This caused me to be fully ready to commit to a life with her, hoping this new mentality is permanent. Anyway, she talked to her therapist and told me that she asked her one question. Do you like surprises? She tells her of course she does. She explains to her that as her boyfriend, I most likely know that, and was trying to do something heartfelt and unscripted. No mariachi, glamorous dress, or big letters, just us two. She further tells her that if she truly felt in her heart that she wants to live a life with me, all of the other superficial stuff shouldn't matter. She's apologizing to me, telling me she really regrets doing that, and assuring me she would have said yes anyway. My biggest regret is I'll never really know what she would have said, though in my gut, I'm not 100% sure she would have said yes. Her first thoughts when that was happening was completely dismissive of me and disrespectful. Something that for once I feel like I can't take anymore. I'm standing my ground, telling her I've swallowed my pride way too many times in the past and we should go through with it. I'll be sleeping on the couch. She'll be packing her things tomorrow and going to live with her parents. Final comments. I think it's great she is getting help and she's trying to change. I would hold off another few months or a year and see if this change is permanent before you move forward with asking her again. Time does heal wounds, and I think eventually it won't bug you as much mentally that she turned you down for a superficial reason. Yeah, I understand. I should have waited more to confirm this new change is permanent. She's also suggested me to the idea of couple/premarital counseling, which I'm willing to do, although a big piece of me is pretty set on what I want to do. Hey buddy, you know how some women can feel uncomfortable with public proposals? Maybe a similar kind of vulnerability applies in reverse here. I understand the initial frustration, and while I can get behind the surface-level argument, when you mention she's been in therapy and working to better herself, I think it's worth pausing to give her the benefit of the doubt. Your relationship deserves at least that much. You made a commitment when you decided to propose. It wasn't a joke or a whim. Are you saying your resolve was so fragile that it couldn't weather the first major challenge? Let's be real. While it's nice to think your life partner would be happy with any proposal, that's not always how it plays out. When I proposed, I spent over a year planning it, but even then, the execution and style turned out completely different on the day. But guess what? I caught the sunset, and it was magical in its own way. You've had conversations about marriage and even discussed her ideal proposals. This isn't about pride. It's about recognizing the commitment you made and reflecting on whether you fell short of honoring it. Give her a real chance. Don't throw away the last 6 years over one moment that can be rebuilt. Thanks for the advice. I've told her that I appreciate her new mentality and have praised her for working on herself. Like I've said, I've swallowed my pride way too many times with her in the past. Our relationship has been toxic before, and in fact, we've had several break periods. We've been good for a while now, but it gets to the point where it almost seems like it'll always repeat. This was the final straw for me. I know we've been together for a while now, especially for our age, but one thing I can't get past is that we're still so young, it almost feels like it just wasn't meant to be. I still feel very guilty about the whole thing. If you call the last straw a marriage proposal, then I think it's not a good foundation to be married. When asked why she didn't enjoy the proposal, she told me she enjoyed the moment. She enjoyed the walk with me on the beach and the intimate time we were having there together. I thought a moment like that was perfect to propose. Despite how much she enjoyed the events leading up it didn't fit her idea of a proposal.